I was born in California,
Okay.
and I was born at an Army base, and I was brought up in southern Indiana. We moved there when I was 4.5, to Evansville, Indiana, the garden spot of the Hoosier State.
So do you remember anything about California before you moved?
Remember Fisherman's Wharf, and I remember a little bit of Aromas. It's a little town inland from Monterey. I remember San Juan Bautista. I remember Santa Cruz. I remember the ocean. I remember a little bit of Big Sur and camping. I remember the smell of forest fires. I remember that. And then the trip across the country, we had to take the northern route because the southern route, I think there were some traffic problems and flooding. So we took, I think, I-70, and that was interesting.
Why Evansville?
Well, that's where my mom's from. She's from the country, the river bottoms part of Evansville. And so she and my father split, and she came back to Evansville and brought me and my sisters, and we settled there, and she remarried. And so,
Was your father in military?
yes, my dad had been in the Army. He was disabled, and they had been married twice, so she kept trying to make it work, and they kind of gave up. They just, well, I guess we're going to stop now. We're going to quit trying. So we came back.
So you and how many sisters?
2 older sisters.
So you were the baby?
The youngest. Yeah. And they're excellent time to have older sisters, mid-60s, because they had records. My uncle was in the Air Force, and he had been stationed in Germany, and he had a lot of the Beatle albums from Germany, and so he would bring those over to Charmy. So we had a lot of, in my eldest sister's and Linda's, my middle sister's, record collections, a lot of German presses of Beatle albums, and some German language Beatle songs too. And good time to be alive, the mid-60s. Great music time. It influenced me, caused me to really be interested in radio because of the music. And my sisters were real popular. They had friends over to the house and played music a lot. So it was a good time to grow up, good time to be a kid. Yeah. My father, my stepdad, and my father both went to U of E. And then us girls wound up going to ISUE, or USI, University of Southern Indiana.
And your stepdad did what?
He worked, he was vice president of merchandising at Shane Uniform. And my mom designed, she was an artist. She was a heck of an artist. She had been in television in the 50s, worked at Channel 50, which is now Channel 25 in Henderson. And she also worked at Channel 14 back when it was Channel 62. And she was very artistic. She could have gone to art school after high school. She graduated from Wrights in 45, but her father wouldn't let her. She had won a scholarship. She had earned a scholarship to go to art school. She was that good. But she designed uniforms for Shane Uniform. And she also wrote a lot. And I still have her typewriter. I kind of kick her on the idea of taking the typewriter to Rick's Restorations and having him fix it so I can use it again. I'd really like to be able to use it again. There were just 3 stations, and then Channel 9 came along in, I think, 68 or 69. And there was some live stuff. You had Dialing for Dollars after school. You had Marx Brothers movies. You had Peggy Mitchell on Channel 25 in the mornings, also Captain Kangaroo. And television was, and the newscast. Each station had its own personality and its own newscast. Channel 7, the kind of a button-down newscast. Channel 14 seemed like kind of fun. Of course, Marcia Yaki kind of helped that fun thing along, and then Channel 25.
What was it about Marcia Yaki? I mean, when I came along, she was an institution by that time. Why did the market take to her so much and embrace her?
She wasn't just who you saw on TV. Everyone seemed to know her because she shopped. She would go to the store. I mean, you'd see her at the store. You'd see her around. She got in. She did, I guess, what you'd call today community service. She went out and about. She hobnobbed, and she did stuff for kids. And she had been in television for a long time, for like 30 years. By the early 80s, she started out in the early 50s. My mom remembered her from some kind of job they were both going up for, and I think neither of them got it. This would be in the early 50s, but Marcia said something like, "I'll be working here when the rest of you are all gone," and I don't know what station this would have been at, but she's more or less right, I think, in that aspect. She was just, she had a big heart, and she was fun. You could tell she was fun.
Well, she was a real character. I mean, she was not afraid, I guess, to be herself on the air, which is something you don't see that much anymore.
You know, when the show comes on and you see someone's butt because she's leaning over writing temperatures on the weather map, you know this woman fears nothing. And she'd have her hair back like this, and I don't think she wore makeup either. Wore blue jeans, usually a t-shirt supporting some kind of thing that's going on in town, like, you know, some kind of pancake breakfast or chili supper. She also was a pilot, and I'm sure there are stories about her, you know, buzzing transmitter towers.
Someone like her was sort of a role model at all to that. Yeah, I can do broadcasting. Anybody can do broadcasting.
We knew
it's
that
not just a guy thing.
We knew that from Mom, because Mom had been in TV and radio back in the 50s. We knew about it. My sisters witnessed it, and she also had her own TV show in Dayton, Ohio. It was the Becky Allen Show. So we already knew that, but there may be something subconscious there to seeing a woman able to just be herself and kind of bounce around and just be kind of wacky and nutty and make fun of guys. And she was very compelling in that way. So maybe there is something subconscious about seeing Marcia Yaki on television in your formative years. And I've often thought it would be really great to be able to do maybe a one act as Marcia Yaki, but I wouldn't want to upset the estate. Wouldn't want to upset anybody. But
when was it that you knew you wanted to go into radio?
That's a good question, because I'd always been interested in acting. One night I was doing my Spanish homework, and this would be the fall of '78, and I was listening to KC 103, and the program director, Mike Isberg, was on the air. It was a Sunday night. Goes, "I'm on the air on a Sunday night. I don't want to be on the air on a Sunday night. If you'd like a part-time job, call me up." So I called. I said, "Hi." So he interviewed me the next day. I can't give me directions. Dad took me, and I got the job. He laughed. He thought it was interesting that I went to high school. Man, you know, it's not fair. I was also in a radio class, so I'm not sure if that's.
So what year would have this been?
78. Bosse High School had a really good radio program. Ray Beggarly ran the radio program. Dale Carter went through that. Mike Sanders went through that. Jay Halbert went through that.
A couple of other of my Facebook friends I've got to interview.
Yeah, really? Wow, cool. I'm ratting them out. But a lot of people took the radio class. Eric Egan, radio star at Bosse. And so maybe it was before that. That was an interesting radio class. I got to interview Joe Aaron. Wish I had that tape. Somebody interviewed Lloyd Lindsay Young, too.
And Lloyd went on to fame in New York.
Huge things. Yes, he did. I got fired for just really being bad, but they said, "Do you think you could wait till the end of your shift before you go?" Okay. And that night they left, and songs got stuck in the automation. Tragedy by the Bee Gees, Crazy Love by Poco, and there was another song that got stuck, and it'll come to me, but they rotated. Those were the only 3 songs that played that night. I was pretty sure I was going to be yelled at for that, but they'd already fired me, so they couldn't do anything worse. But And because my sister Linda by then had been in radio for a couple of years, and I didn't really, it wasn't really on my radar. Linda worked in country music. She worked at Rosie, and she got me a part-time job at Rosie. Tiny Hughes.
Tiny Hughes was not tiny.
No, he wasn't. He was an enormous
guy. But he was also a large figure in the sense of radio.
He was big. He was big in radio. He had quite a history. You know, Gene Autry hired him at some station. I don't know all of his history. I wish I did. My sister Linda would know more. But he knew Gene Autry. Said he learned a lot from Gene Autry. Because I left Rosie, went to KKR, and I was doing live assist middays, playing tapes of guys who would back announce songs and play the country music. And then I really wanted to work in radio and actually get to play the song and talk about it myself. So I knew that there was going to be an opening at GBF. So Mom said, what you need to do, you need to go over there and just sit down. You need to just sit until they interview you. And I said, okay, do that. I went over there 3 or 4 days in a row. Finally, Carl Hamilton hired me. He finally interviewed me, and I just said, I want the job. Just really want the job. I had left GBF in '86, went down to work in radio in Nashville, which I wasn't real happy with. And BJ said, why don't you come out to Phoenix? So I did. And that was an awesome experience. It was awesome being on the air there. At that point, it was under 2 million people still. It's way too big now. It's just, they need to stop growing. But it was fun. That was a blast. A lot of phone bits. I love the phone. I love using, this is back when you used reels of tape. And when I was at GBF, I learned how to do reverse echo. I learned how to do editing. I think Mike Goldman taught me how to edit. I learned a lot about timing from Steve O'Brien. I stole a lot of his jokes. Ever wonder how Van Gogh held his glasses up? But think of all the money he saved in Q-tips. Anyway, but Cool FM was a heck of an experience, and I had the Saturday night oldies show and a lot of phone bits. I've got mountains of tape still,